Look, I'm going to be completely honest with all of you. I need to repent after some of these trades that I put together, but I promise you, at least financially, they work. It is.
They don't have the same value they used to.
All right. Hello and welcome into another edition of PHNX Suns, a Trade Machine Tuesday, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Download the Circle K app today, become a member of the Inner Circle for free. As always, I'm Erik, joined by Stephen. We got the freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. But of course, the most important people, all of you filing in early on a Trade Machine Tuesday. I see Humble Rumble, Andy Russell, Suns Digest, a bunch of our friends, including Optical Illusion and Jackie Daytona, and everybody whose name I don't have time to say. We appreciate all of you joining us here on a Tuesday afternoon. Share the stream with your friends. Let's get crazy. Let's get nuts. Let's go on this journey together. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Carol, what's up? Welcome back to you as well. Wow Factor, Stefano, Steven, a different Steven, all in the chat. Of course, if you're listening on audio after the fact, you're wonderful. You're beautiful. We appreciate you. 5-star reviews do go a long way.
Big chicken, Big chicken, huh?
I apparently am the big chicken. If you listen to ASU, you would know this. I'm also a strawberry swirl girl. We can get to that later. We can get to that later because we have a lot on the plate today. Steven, we have some of the craziest Kevin Durant trades that you could possibly think of. Plus, we do have some coaching news in the NBA with Tom Thibodeau. And we have some reports with Kevin Durant on the trade front. Let's start with Tibbs, though. He was recently fired by the New York Knicks coming off of their Eastern Conference Finals loss. And the reason why we bring this up, Steven, is because now Johnnie Bryant is the favorite to land the New York Knicks head coaching job. You and I, just before we went live here, we recorded about 10 minutes on this that will be going out on audio and a video later today. But what are your initial thoughts on the Johnnie Bryant tying in to Tom Thibodeau being fired by the Knicks?
I think it's relevant enough to bring up for sure, but I wouldn't give it more than a 20% chance just off of me gauging it. I just feel like it would be unprecedented if he was to, I guess, not be interested in the Suns and elect to go elsewhere, take his talents to the Knicks. I think you brought up relevant points in that, in what we just got done recording when speaking about if he just happens to not get the Suns job, then naturally that's a easy transition to make. But I don't know. I just feel like I've been kind of locked in with him becoming the Suns head coach as things have progressed over the last couple of weeks.
It might give Matt Ishby and company an easy out to pick their Michigan State guy in Jordan Ott.
Sure.
Again, it's a little disrespectful just to label Jordan Ott as the Michigan State guy, but that is how a lot of people view him. He does have a resume beyond that. We dove really deep into that in about 10 minutes, and that will be posted on your audio feed, on your video feed right here on PHNX Sports later today. So let's not dwell too much on that, but it is crazy that every coach of the year from 2018 to 2023 has been fired at this point. Maybe a topic for a different day, considering the Suns were one of the teams that fired one of those coaches. But we did get some rumors hitting the streets on the Kevin Durant front. Steven, from a couple different places. Let's start with Kelly Iko over at The Athletic. A couple different reports from Iko. Let's go ahead and start it off with one about draft capital with KD. Says Phoenix is aggressive in pursuit of A, trading Kevin Durant, and B, regaining full control of their draft capital. Iko would then go on to say that the Suns have lowered the asking price on Durant as Houston is hesitant to part with its core for an aging superstar. Steven, is this more Rockets subterfuge from Kelly Iko's side of things? Because that's what it feels like to me.
1,000%.
That's 100% what it is.
Drive that value as low to the floor as they possibly can, because they have admitted that they would rather not give up either of Jabari or Tari in a Durant trade if it's just two teams involved. And every ploy that they've put forth since then aligns. First one within 5 minutes again aligns. Number two directly with that framing of thought. I mean, kudos to them. You don't want to overpay. You got to play the game.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
1000%.
It's a little ridiculous. I'll be honest. It's so funny because when things get aggregated, and I get it, and even from our Twitter account, like we aggregate and put out, Suns news because that's what we want to do is keep people informed. You got to start picking up these pieces on who's putting it out there and why. Kelly Iko was also the same reporter, in case you're not as plugged in, which I don't blame you, as us psychos and sickos are who, are in the media game. Kelly Iko is the same reporter that said the Houston Rockets are no longer interested in Devin Booker, right? Or that the Houston Rockets aren't going to want to give up anything for Kevin Durant, right? It's all subterfuge season. Now, that being said, sometimes these type of things do give you a peek inside of what's going on in a trade negotiation and whatnot, but I wouldn't put too much stock into this, Stephen.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, and I think Mark provides some good points. Excuse me. I think the issue with trying to play the we won't do business with Houston part is that they're more than comfortable just rolling into next season with the exact same roster. I mean, they got them within one game, within a half or even a quarter of the second round, and they still have players that are majority under 25. Yeah. That are certainly expected to continue to develop under another season with Ime Udoka, but they can also simply just pivot to Giannis.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so cool, we'll hang up the phone and we'll just go talk to Giannis.
Houston has leverage here.
They have all of it. They have all of it because
Houston
they have all of the picks, including the Suns picks.
But, I wouldn't say they have all the leverage because they did flame out in the first round.
With the Suns, they do, though.
With the Suns, yes, but you also still have the ultimate piece in Kevin Durant. If Giannis either says I'm staying in Milwaukee or I want to go somewhere else, Houston loses any of that they have because they do kind of need a Kevin Durant, no matter how much they want to pretend like they don't.
They do, but at the same time, they know that they do have the Suns picks, and the Suns have been public and private about wanting to recoup at least one, if not both of their picks, which Kelly detailed in his article today as well.
Yeah, Kelly's saying that the number 10 pick in this year's draft is at the top of the Suns' wants and needs. I do have that pick moving around in some of our trades that were coming up later.
Both.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to be just so completely honest with everybody. I've got some crazy crap, man. Yes, the thumbnail is not clickbait. I will say that for sure. So that being said, there was another report from Matt Moore, also known as HP Basketball on social media, that we'll pass along here before we jump into some more trades that we put together on a Trade Machine Tuesday. Says the Suns have indicated to teams that center is a premium for them in any KD talks. Stephen, this is something you and I have talked about ad nauseum at this point for this offseason.
Even that's an understatement.
It's an understatement. No surprise here from what Matt Moore is reporting.
Not even a little bit. I'm just very curious as to what level of center that they can attract and ultimately push across the finish line a deal to bring into their team context. I have no doubt that it's going to be a starting caliber center. I'm curious what level of starting caliber. Are we talking all-star? Are we talking about fringe all-star? Are we talking about somebody that's just really good? Are we talking about a specialist in some capacity? Very curious. There's a nice spectrum of pieces that they could choose from in that.
And there's a nice spectrum of pieces that we have going to the Suns in all of our trades. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
Full transparency. These trades were done last night.
Yes.
Before the news of centers being a specific target for the Suns. So just a peek behind the curtain from where we were versus when the timing of all the news came out earlier today.
Yeah, we've got a lot on store, so let's not make you wait any longer. Let's start it off with the Suns getting a center, but two centers involved in a 3-team deal. We're talking Kings, Knicks, and Suns. The Suns will be getting Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, the 2026 New York Knicks first-round pick, the 2028 New York Knicks first-round pick, and the 2030 New York Knicks first-round pick, all for 3 first-round picks, and Sacramento's second-round pick in this year's draft, coming in at the 42nd pick in this year's draft. In exchange, the Knicks will be receiving Kevin Durant, and the Kings will be getting Karl-Anthony Towns, Bacome Dadier, and a second-round pick, the 50th in this year's draft. Once again, Suns gets Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, 3 first-round picks, and a second-round pick for Kevin Durant. The Kings get Karl-Anthony Towns, Bacome Dadier, and a second-round pick for Domantas Sabonis and Devin Carter. Your initial thoughts on the Sun side of things, Sabonis, Carter, 3 first-round picks, and a second.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's a solid bit of what the Kings would both like and kind of sort of need. They need to reshuffle the deck after Malik Monk and Mike Brown have both shifted to go elsewhere, and they're starting to get established under Doug Christie. I think he wants to shoot more threes, and I think he would like to have a little bit more offensive versatility past, obviously, the all-time great playmaking level of initiating of offense that Sabonis provides. Insert Karl-Anthony Towns, that certainly helps. The Knicks get who they want, obviously, in Kevin Durant, and with the Suns, getting a center, obviously an all-star caliber center, in that spectrum of centers we got done speaking to will certainly help a lot. You get a young guard that was certainly one of your targets in the draft last season, and Devin Carter as well. Someone who you could certainly provide opportunity to.
Absolutely.
There's a whole lot of that available, and you also get past that 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, I'm actually probably the highest on Devin Carter in this package than Sabonis.
Not mad at it at all.
And Mark in the chat says it would rather have a Karl-Anthony Towns type center next to Devin Booker than Sabonis. Both can't defend, but at least Cat can stretch the floor. Sabonis is a better rebounder, not that Cat lacks significantly in that department. But Devin Carter as a piece here, to me, is just one of those guys that you're taking a shot on after getting injured his rookie year. I definitely was high on him. I remember doing a lot of pre-draft stuff and talking with Flex last year.
Flex was all
in on Devin Carter. He just seems like the type of guard in the future that could play alongside Devin Booker, the double Devin backcourt. As far as the Kings, giving up Sabonis and Devin Carter and getting back Cat and Pacone Dadier. So you're basically trading first-round picks with the Knicks from last year and swapping Sabonis for Cat. If you are keeping a DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine-led team and you're trying to compete, it feels like Karl-Anthony Towns would be a best fit there.
I mean, when you make certain moves that teams have already tried, you can't help but get the comparisons to said team. DeRozan and LaVine with the Bulls, they had Nikola Vucevic at the 5. A floor space in 5, they can do some other things. What is Karl-Anthony Towns?
Floor space in 5, they could do some other things. A better floor space in 5,
yes,
though.
certainly better, certainly younger as well, but the template is there. And this, my Bulls friends back home, including Matt Pegg and Big Dave and Will Gottlieb, would just be laughing at this. It might work for them in their favor for sure, but it would just be funny seeing them retread a template for the roster that went well for them.
Feels very
the Bulls.
Kings.
Correct.
Feels very Kings.
Correct.
The Knicks, they get Kevin Durant. A couple of mixed feelings in the chat about the Knicks side of things. One person says the Knicks would hang up and laugh. Another one says the Knicks will be desperate. Where do you think they fall on that?
They're not desperate.
They just fired their head coach after he led them to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Might be a little desperate.
I think this is a severe, potentially catastrophic bet on Mitchell Robinson for them because they don't have a center replacement at this moment. And there's also a second tax apron team, so it's not like they have a lot of cap space that they're going to be working with, nor will it be easy to navigate getting to other trades without gutting a lot of what made that team last season good for them. So not sure what outlets they have outside of that, but I think them getting the best player in return in this deal certainly aligns with where they want to go going forward.
I mean, they want to take a step up. They want to make it to the NBA Finals. I'll be honest with everybody here. We're starting with our more realistic trades, okay? More realistic trade pieces. There's a Giannis trade. There's a Joel Embiid trade. There's a Cooper Flagg trade. That's all coming up later in this show, along with some other stars as well. So stay tuned for that. But before we get there, I would say a more realistic trade as far as top-end talent, Stephen, but you whipped together a hefty 4-team deal involving the Suns, Knicks, Magic, and Cavs. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the Suns are getting. Mikal Bridges and Jarrett Allen headlining that package, along with Jonathan Isaac, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Tyler Kolek, and a 2026 first-round pick and a 2025 first-round pick, which is the number 16th pick in this year's draft, via Orlando. In exchange, the New York Knicks received Kevin Durant, Wendell Carter Jr., Cole Anthony, and Nick Richards. The Magic receive Karl-Anthony Towns, Grayson Allen, Deuce McBride, and Ariel Hukporti. And the Cavaliers receive the Goga Bitadze, Royce O'Neal, Gary Harris player-centric package, along with the 25th pick in this year's draft, the 29th pick in this year's draft, and Phoenix's 2027 first-round pick, which I believe is already swapped with Cleveland, so they would get their rights back on that. What was your thought process on this 4-team deal that sees Mikal Bridges, Jarrett Allen, Jonathan Isaac, KCP, Kolek, and 2 picks come into the Suns?
Well, first, the train of thought for me is the Suns sign Johnnie Bryant and make him their new head coach.
Okay.
One of the first things that he would like for them to target with the capital that they have to trade is to try to bring Jared Allen to the Suns. And naturally, we wake up this morning, we get the news about the Suns prioritizing and letting people know that in any trade conversations, they're wanting a starting caliber center to come into their team context. What better way to get to that level than having familiarity with the center that's done a lot of the things that Johnnie Bryant would ask for from said center in his team context with the Suns. So that part in particular stands out most for me. Everything else is pretty much matching salaries for the teams involved. Karl-Anthony Towns going to the Orlando Magic. They need shooting. If they could get that from their front court while also having multiple pieces still remaining on their roster to insulate him defensively, now you're really cooking with something. In addition to that, obviously, this is a trade where the Suns ducked the second tax apron beforehand because they're also sending Grayson Allen to the Orlando Magic. So you say you need shooting, you say you want shooting, I'll give you a plus shooter at the 5 and a plus shooter at the 2. Do what you can with that. There's a lot going on with the Cavaliers here.
Yeah, the Cavs, I think, are my biggest weak link in this one. I think they say no. They're giving up Jared Allen and Jonathan Isaac, and they're getting back the 25 pick in this year's draft and the 29 pick in this year's draft.
That's how I tried to sweeten it for
and that's something. You're getting Goga, Royce O'Neal, and Gary Harris.
29 is theirs, by the way, too.
Yeah, so they're getting a future pick as well. You're basically saying, we'll try to get Jarrett Allen in an aggregate with Goga, even though they don't do the same thing. Royce O'Neal and Jonathan Isaac swap. And then we're going to try to get some young draft picks. Because one of the things with Cavs that I don't think people in the chat are fully acknowledging is they got to pay not Jared Allen. They've got to pay Evan Mobley an extra $40 million because he won Defensive Player of the Year. Right. So that tax bracket and that roster is not going to be able to stay completely intact. Revamping with some younger picks, you might sacrifice a better player to set yourself up to keep the best player in Evan Mobley. So the Magic Center would be, Mark says, they're going from having 3 bigs to just one. It would be Karl-Anthony Towns at center, and then they still have
Wagner. Mo Wagner.
It would
who got
be
hurt
Cat
last
Wagner.
season. Yep.
And maybe somebody else that they would pick up in this situation.
And they have multiple draft picks. Yeah. So,
but they would get the shooting that they need in Allen, McBride, and Towns.
Exactly.
So I do like that fit for the Magic, for the Knicks. Kevin Durant, Wendell Carter Jr., Cole Anthony, and Nick Richards. I think that's a good trade in return. But of course, they're giving up Mikal Bridges and Tyler Kolek as well, who was a pseudo first round pick
and I think
last year.
For the Suns, they have another point of attack defender in Mikal, in addition to already having Ryan Dunn, while also having Jared Allen. You're talking about layers to your defense that any coach is going to certainly want.
Yeah, Wow Factor says Ishbia and the Cavs owner, Dan Gilbert, not working together in a trade. Well, that's why there are 2 other teams involved. It's like a game of telephone, right? You say, hey, can Leon Rose, can you please tell Dan Gilbert that we'll take Jared Allen? Thank you. All right, let's get one more trade in here before we hit our first break. Hit that like button. Mark says Suns need a defensive center badly. Can we interest you in a former defensive player of the year who could play the 4 and the 5? In this 3-team trade that you cooked up, Stephen, the Suns received Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, so Grizzlies part 2, Aaron Holiday, and a first-round pick. That would be Houston's 2027 first-round pick, which would be via Phoenix. So Phoenix gets their own first-round pick back. The Grizzlies get Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, Tari Eason, the 10th pick and the 29th pick in this year's draft. And the Rockets receive Kevin Durant and Jay Huff. As always, let's start with the Suns side of things. Stephen, Triple J, Dylan Brooks, Aaron Holiday, and your own first-round pick in 2027. That's a pretty complete deal on a draft perspective and a player perspective for KD.
You say you want dogs. You say you want toughness. You say you want versatility. How about 2 players that have brought that to a team that's seen even marginal success in recent memory with the Memphis Grizzlies? Obviously coming from 2 different teams in this trade, but being able to get Tripp, it insulates you with so much defensive versatility, whether he's playing a 4 next to Nick Richards or whoever else you might bring in, or he's just outright your 5 and you get 5-out spacing on offense. There's just so much you can get to with that. Dylan Brooks, obviously, antics are antics, yes, but he is a player that plays with a ton of toughness and grit. However, it might look different than other people's, but he certainly brings it, and it impacts his opponents in some capacity, whether it takes their focus away or breaks their rhythm or both. And sometimes he toes that line, but you can't get to the toughness part as a wing without being able to toe that line. I don't think Aaron Holiday is just a throw-in either because of who the Suns are and them needing the things that he can provide from the point of attack defensively while also being able to score in a tertiary fashion as a reserve. And the last thing is being able to also get a pick in addition to getting tripped.
Yeah.
That's a big get for them.
Does Houston need a little more in this? A lot of people are saying Houston is hanging up. They would be giving up Dillon Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, Reed Shepherd, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and Phoenix's 2027 pick in exchange for Kevin Durant and Jay Huff. Jay Huff's a playable piece, but mainly for Kevin Durant. Is that something that Houston maybe wants to scale back? Maybe they don't give up Houston's the Phoenix's 2027 pick and they're able to hold on to that, or they're able to keep one of the two wings of Jabari or Tari.
Well, friends, this is why they're not trying to bring down Kevin Durant's value as much as they possibly can, because they want to refrain from having to get to this volume of picks and players being included. The caveat, though, is because the Grizzlies are getting Jabari Smith Jr., who, as well as Tari Eason, who are both extension eligible going into this current offseason, but even more so next offseason. Them being able to go off of a trip and send him elsewhere and not have to pay him, and then have their books kind of stashed to make that move for one or both of these two going into next season, I think it's something that helps them a lot, in addition to being insulated with multiple picks in this season's draft.
Yeah, AJ says Houston could send those players to Phoenix in exchange for KD. Definitely possible.
They could.
That could still be
But then the Suns feel sufficed?
They would definitely need that number 10 pick and their own picks back, right? But Houston, they're not going to pay a bag of chips for Kevin Durant. He's just not worth it. I love how they also tried to sneak in the Kelly Ainko report, coming off of an injury. Like, he didn't just roll his ankle once and he's already back in the gym. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was funny too. The choice of words.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. Well, we have a lot more choices for trades. This is Jaylen Brown, Lauri Markkanen, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Cooper Flagg. Does that interest any of you to get those players on the Suns? We have some massive trades coming up for you on the other side of this break. Just going to cut right to the chase. Love a good Frosty from Wendy's. The classic, Stephen, the chocolate Frosty with some French fries. It's hard to get much better than that, but Wendy said, hold my Frosty, because I can get better. We're talking all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions at Wendy's. You can get in either chocolate or vanilla bases, so it's the same creamy treat that you've always loved, but now with a flavor refresh. We've got Frosty Swirls, which like strawberry, brownie batter, and caramel. Delicious, but we've also got mixed Frosty Fusions. This is where it really comes into play. Oreo brownie, caramel crunch, and Pop-Tarts strawberry. Steven,
that sounds sensational.
Not sound absolutely delicious? Anyway, whatever flavor you're craving, odds are Wendy's has got a Frosty for it. So clock in for a sweet treat at any time, including midnight or later, with Wendy's all new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's locations. Hours may vary by location. I obviously love Wendy's, and of course, if you are remodeling your home, you're going to love Empire today. Not only are you going to get $350 off for listening to us two goofballs speak every day, but you get dedicated flooring professionals, flooring experts who will come to your home, have a free in-home estimate, and start installation as soon as the next day when it comes to your flooring. The last thing that you want to do when you are entrusting the renovation of your home or your small business to somebody is to entrust it to somebody that you don't trust, that you don't know is going to be the absolute best of the best, the top of their profession. And when you go to these big flooring box stores, that's all you're getting is part-time employees who just don't give a crap. Not with Empire today. Clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing, next day installation, all with a free in-home estimate that you can schedule today. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 off discount when using promo code PHNX. That's right, $350 off when using promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHNX for full details. Suns Digest asks, can we request a review of the Frosties for the channel? We might have to do that. I might have to send the Freckled Mamba out to get us some Pop-Tart Frosties. I will tell you this. We were asking for a Where's the Beef segment with me and CJ McCollum. We will be maybe doing a little bit of that. But on Thursdays, we're going to be doing Frosty Takes, which we're going to go back and find takes that we were wrong about. So if you have any that pop to mind that you are watching us and say, those guys are dummy dum-dums, send those in to us, and we will be making sure to read those on Thursday. But first, today, Stephen, it is Trade Machine Tuesday. We promise stars. How about a finals MVP heading to Phoenix? It's a similar breakdown of a trade that I put out there a couple of weeks ago. The first Trade Machine Tuesday we did without Gerald. Suns, Celtics, Spurs. Suns getting Jalen Brown in return for Kevin Durant. The Celtics are receiving Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and the number 2 pick in this year's draft. In exchange, the Spurs are getting Kevin Durant in the 28th and the 29th pick in this year's draft. So the Spurs giving up Vassell, Barnes, the number 2 pick for KD, getting 2 picks back. The Suns receive Jalen Brown. Do I need to move the first round picks elsewhere? Are the Suns getting gypped in this deal, Stephen?
I want to say yes. I would like to take a longer look at it and kind of play the scenarios out in mind. This is not a bad template, though, by my eye. I feel like the Suns are getting by far the second best player. And contractually, for this trade to work, gotta be structured the way that it is. And then obviously the picks being involved, they are what they are. Obviously, the Suns are going to want a pick in some capacity, right, even if it is like multiple seconds.
Or at least holding on to their pick, because one of the picks they gave up would be the 29th pick in this year's draft.
Yeah, for sure.
Muhammad says the Celtics laugh at their face. Now, like I mentioned before with the Cavaliers, the Celtics are a team that they're going to be looking to be saving money. Plus, you'd be getting the number 2 pick in this year's draft. Plus, I believe Boston has their own pick next year, and they would probably just be chalking that up to a little rebuild year. Try to get off of Porzingis, trying to get off of Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum recovering from an injury, take somebody with the number 2 pick in this year's draft, and then get another high pick in next year's draft as well. I think this one's a little bit less realistic than a breakdown that I put out before where the Suns got Brown and a couple picks that were exchanged around, but this is a way to get a forward that's under contract that can play alongside Devin Booker that stepped up in the playoffs. For the Suns, that's got to be somewhat enticing if you're moving on from KD.
Yeah, if you're prioritizing win now talent to bring back in any Durant trade, you're not going to do much better, if at all, than what Jalen Brown is. And also to do so with a player that doesn't overlap and is very much complementary to everything that Devin Booker is. He can play off of him. He can obviously exist in lineups where Booker is not involved as well. That's what you would be looking to check off box-wise.
So since Gerald's been gone and we've been making these trades ourselves, I love when I put a trade out there and every single person says every team is getting robbed. It's my favorite thing. You know, like, oh my God, the Suns would be idiots if they did this. Oh my God, the Celtics would be idiots if they did this. Oh my God, the Spurs would be idiots if they did this. It's just fun. I enjoy it. I'll say out of all of the trades that we have put together, this one's probably my least favorite, to be honest with you. So
is it?
Yeah, I think so. No, I didn't say least realistic.
Okay.
Least favorite.
Okay.
I have some more.
So you actually like that one? Okay.
Oh,
okay.
So we talk about the one later?
Yeah.
Of course I like the one later. This is the craziest trade I've ever put together. Of course I like it. Okay.
We're going to make sure we save the poll for that one in particular.
All right. We have 3 trades somewhat involving Lauri Markkanen. So let's go ahead and get to those. This first one is from you, Stephen. You put together a trade where the Suns receive Lauri Markkanen, Tari Eason, and the 21st pick in this year's draft. In exchange, the Jazz receive different one. Jazz receive Jabari Smith Jr., Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepherd, the 10th pick in this year's draft, and the 29th pick in this year's draft. That is a good haul for Lauri Markkanen. The Rockets receive Kevin Durant. Break this one down for me.
That's where it gets a little interesting. Obviously, like we just got done speaking to with Jalen Brown, being able to bring back Lauri Markkanen in a Kevin Durant trade for the Suns would be, I think, a great get. Obviously, complimentary, different position in Devin Booker, gives you versatility in the front court offensively as well as defensively. Yes, he's not the best defender, but he can do a lot of things. And if you give him a center that can cover up and insulate him, now you're working with something. And in addition to that, Tari Eason being able to play the 4 or the 3 next to Lauri Markkanen in roster and lineup constructs, that gives you a lot to work with. You also get the number 21 pick in this draft.
You're moving up,
which is moving up and gives you an opportunity to look at some of the talents that we talked about in last week's Wednesday draft prospects check. So that part for the Suns is great. there's a lot going back to Utah, obviously. I think to have them dance with you to make this trade work, you have to entice them. And Danny Ainge and company are looking forward with everything. You give them Jabari Smith Jr. To go with the picks. I think that would appease them.
It's tough, man, because I think Houston
they
is
also get
in a
one of
tough
those
spot
point guard
here.
types that they like too.
I think Houston's in a tough spot. You mean the types is in like white boys? Is Reed Shepherd in contention for white boy of the year? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's more of a Chet Holmgren, TJ McConnell type question. Okay. a couple of things here. I think the Jazz are walking away big winners.
Yeah.
I think Lowry and the Jazz, the time has passed. Mark says Lowry had a down year last year.
But they're not.
But I think that's just a point where the player just doesn't fit with the organization. Personally.
Yep, he played a complete different role last season. Yeah. They had the ball in the young guys' hands a whole lot more.
Yeah. I think it might be a little bit too much from a Rockets perspective, giving up Jabari, Tari, Reed, the 10 pick. All of that, again, they might get desperate. What we might be hearing out of their campus subterfuge. I see your vision, right? Because I also had a Lowry Markkanen trade, but involving a different third team. And in fact, I had two with the same three teams. Let's go to the first one, which is not as crazy as the second one. So the first one with Lowry Markkanen and the Phoenix Suns does land Lowry in Phoenix. You're also getting different one, Ayrton. That one, yep. So the Suns will receive Lowry Markkanen, the 21st pick in this year's draft, along with three other first-round picks. The 2028 first-round pick from Philadelphia via Los Angeles, the Clippers. 2029 Philadelphia first-round pick and a 2031 Philadelphia first-round pick. So you're walking away with three future first-round picks, plus you're moving up 8 spots in this year's draft because you are sending out Kevin Durant to the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Jazz receive Paul George just to make the contracts work, and then they're taking on the 29th pick in this year's draft, the 35th pick in this year's draft, and 4 second-round picks. I do not think Lowry Markkanen's value is as high as you had it for what the Jazz were getting for him in the next draft or in the previous trade, but moving on from Lowry, who I assume the Jazz do not want him on the team going forward, taking on a Paul George contract and in exchange getting what Danny Ainge loves, which is more first-round draft picks and a bunch of second-round draft picks as well. How do you feel about this one?
Durant to Philly is very interesting because I just don't know if that's a place that he's going to choose to want to go to. And that's where the lines kind of get blurred for me in terms of looking at it and thinking, how realistic is it? But I think the structuring of it is perfect, though. It's very, very, very good. I just don't know if that's going to be a place that he would actually want to go.
Yeah, I think the question is also, what is Lowry Markkanen's value? Right? Does Utah not value him enough to the point where he says, hey, we're okay just taking a couple picks back for him? Right? They're also giving up the 21st pick in this year's draft, but they're holding on to the 5th pick, which Utah just have.
Yep.
Okay. Are we ready to get nuts?
Real quick, where does Lowry Markkanen rank for you in terms of potential Suns teammates for Devin Booker?
That's a great question.
Like it's just a quick hitter.
I think we got time. We can dive into it a little bit.
Okay.
Defensively, not the highest. Like the size, don't love the output. I did like you getting him paired up with Tari. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Offensively, next to Book, it's not. It's hard to imagine a better fit, but he's certainly up top because he could play off ball, because he could be a spot up 3-point shooter. He's 7 feet tall. He can create on his own. You didn't see the best out of him from last season, but if you put a floor spacing 3 or 4 that's 7 feet tall, has some touch around the rim, and is very versatile offensively, but is also one of the most potent scorers without dribbling that you have in the NBA, and is one of the better off-ball guys, I think pairing that with as white people say, a heliocentric Devin Booker, and pairing those two guys up. I mean, come on, am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Well, pairing Devin Booker up with a heliocentric offense would be the best thing to do. I do think that they would fit very well on offense, but defensively, you need to have a good infrastructure around them.
Because it's going to be a whole lot of, hey, you two come here and try to guard this pick and roll, especially in crunch time. But over the course of the 40 minutes that precede, or the 42 minutes that precede crunch time. So I would like to see Lowry next to Devin Booker, though.
Yeah.
I think the fitted makes a ton of sense. It gives you someone that can do stuff without having high usage around Devin Booker, but can do that consistently. But also a player that can very easily put the ball in the deck and get to the basket, and he has the ability to finish at the rim in ways that still somehow surprises people to this day. Larry Markkinen has caught a handful of bodies over the course of his career. For every bit of the attention we've given Cat for his ability to put it on a deck, Lowry is equally, if not slightly better at doing that.
Yeah. What would you rather have? A Markkinen-based package or a Sabonis-based package? Ted Offensive in the chat says they're basically the same age, 28 and 29, and that he would rather have Sabonis.
That's a good question, honestly.
I think Sabonis is clearly the better player.
Sabonis is the better player.
But his weakness is the inability to shoot and the defensive liabilities make it tough come playoff time, if that's what we're talking about here.
And he's undersized for his position. And that shows up a little more loudly come playoff time as well. Whereas Lowry is plus. He's a plus size. He has great positional size. I guess it comes down to which do you value more? Because they can both be elite in pick and roll, pick and pop. But whose offensive input do you think is going to be better next to Devin Booker?
Can Sabonis be elite in pick and pop? I mean, because once he steps back beyond, a mid-range shot,
it's not for his ability to shoot. It is for his ability to play to the second side as a playmaker. So if Devin Booker's getting double teamed, there's a 3-on-2 to the backside, and he's initiating that. That's where it gets fun. That's literally what made him an all-star with the Kings.
Justin's saying Lowry's clearly the better player. I don't agree with that.
Nah, he's not the better player.
I think in a vacuum, Sabonis is actually a better player.
Yeah.
Sabonis is the best rebounder in the league.
Yeah, it's not about like crazy leaps and bounds, I don't think, when they're both at their peak of their powers, but Sabonis is definitely the better player.
Yeah, and Wow Factor says it's difficult. Do you value center is the question. And like we brought up before, apparently, according to Matt Moore, a.k.a. HP Basketball, the Suns are looking to target a center, whether they trade KD or they don't, which if you've been listening to PHNX Suns, we've been telling you they've needed to do that religiously. With Sabonis, a better passer, a better rebounder.
No question.
Better in the paint.
No question.
Worse defender or better defender?
They're about the same. They're about the same.
But Sabonis at a more, I don't know, would you consider a more pivotal position to be the one that Sabonis plays than Lowry? Mr. POA, Mr. Point of Attack? Come on now.
Exactly, 100%.
We say Lowry's more important or Sabonis?
No, I'm saying Lowry's more important.
Oh, I thought you were saying Sabonis was more important. No. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Lowry.
So if Lowry's position is the most important defensively, and we agree that Sabonis is better at rebounding, better at scoring on the interior, and better at passing, does that mean that he should probably be a higher priority for the Suns than a Lowry Markkinen? Because he also might be better at making Booker better off the ball than somebody like Lowry would be.
I feel like I'm actually looking at it a little differently. I feel like it's easier to build around a floor space in 4 than it is to build around Sabonis at the 5. Because my frame of thinking on it is, with all of the Markkinen trades prior to today, I've included someone like Nick Richards in a 3-team trade or 4-team trade that's coming in tandem with Lowry to the Suns. I feel like if you have Sabonis, you have to absolutely nail that 4 position. There has to be somebody that can give him that space that he needs to create.
Like a KD.
Yes, that would be perfect, actually. Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he can also insulate him defensively with his secondary rim protection.
I hear you. Plus, if we're talking about it realistically, Sabonis makes a lot more money than
significantly
than Larry Markkinen. 4-year, $186 million deal. Markkinen, 4-year, $67 million deal. It is not even close. I think that to me is the tiebreaker. I would be taking Lowry. Rat says, why would Sacramento want KD anyway? It would usually be in a 3-team deal. So what about a deal?
You should ask, why would KD want Sacramento?
Go Sacramento. Amen to that. Amen to that. So we've seen 3-team deals that land the Suns Lowry Markkinen. But if I told you that I have a 3-team deal that includes the following players: Kevin Durant, Lowry Markkinen, Paul George, Nick Richards, and Joel Embiid. In this trade, in this crazy trade, if the Suns get under the second apron, they get Joel Embiid, the 21st pick in this year's draft, plus 3 more future first-round picks because of Joel Embiid's, of course, imminent health problems. They get the 2028 first-round pick from Philly via the Clippers, the 2029 Philly first-round pick, and 2031 Philly first-round pick. And in exchange, they will be sending the 76ers Kevin Durant. The 76ers also get Lauri Markkanen along with Kevin Durant and the 29th pick in this year's draft. The Jazz get Paul George, Nick Richards, the number 3 pick in this year's draft from Philly, the 35th pick in the second round in this year's draft, also from Philly, and 4 future second round picks for taking on Paul George. Stephen, nobody wants Joel Embiid on the Phoenix Suns because of his barbecue chicken knee. Is this worth the swing for Phoenix?
How much faith do you have in the Suns training staff? Because
I don't know if I have faith in anybody's training staff.
Because they're going to be tested beyond whatever is even imaginable.
I don't think I have faith in anybody's training staff with Joel Embiid. But let me just say this. This works. Like this works financially. And if the Suns want talent for Kevin Durant, technically speaking, Embiid might be at the top of the list for skill.
Look at all those picks is where I go next.
Well, and the Suns, and that's the thing. The Suns are also moving up 8 spots in the draft getting 3 future first-round picks. So you're taking a swing on Embiid and going with a draft pick heavy return.
Look at all those picks is why I continue to say that. First of all, Philly becomes an immediate contender in the East.
Markkanen, Durant, they would just need to figure out their center position.
Yeah. But
Andre Drummond,
that becomes
the starting center.
Correct. That becomes a whole lot easier when you got Durant and Markkanen on your.
Hey, we've been there. We've been there. Oh, center's an easy position. You can fill it with anybody. Like, I don't know, Yusuf Nurkic.
It's very true. Also relevant. Again, I just don't see Durant okaying a trade to the Sixers, especially if Joel isn't there. Which, in theory, you could also rebut and say, well, if he went there when Joel is there, he might not actually be there. Which I would say you're right.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he okays that trade in particular. I don't know also how much he might want to be coached by someone like Nick Nurse, who is extremely defensive-minded, and the usage and the ways in which he goes about defending there. It's very, very unique, and that's why he's been so good on the defensive end as a coach. So,
yeah,
I don't know. There's just a little bit too much resistance that I can assume would come up in theory with this trade, but I like the way that it shapes out for every team involved.
I could see, honest to God, I could see the Suns doing this. I could see Matt Ishbia doing this for sure, just to
So
gamble.
you would much rather bite the Joel bullet than the Paul George bullet?
I'm just
George? Throwing it out there,
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Honestly, I would. I would rather bite that bullet. It's much more worth biting. I will say this, a correction. Starting next year, Lauri Markkanen makes more per year than Domantas Sabonis, so that might change things a little bit for me. Makes extra $3 million. I think I was looking at Lauri's last contract, 4 years, $67 million. But also thought in the chat, can you send Joel Embiid elsewhere for some sort of package to maybe another team who's more desperate to win now? I understand everybody who's hesitant, and honestly, I understand it if you say yes. I think that there's something enticing about we can move up 8 picks in the draft, we get 3 future first-round picks, and we're just taking the most ultimate gamble of all time. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to look it up right now. I don't know how many more years under contract Joel Embiid has. I don't think it's a little amount. I think it's a decent amount of years. He has 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28. Then he has a player option in 2028-29. So he has 3 seasons, including this upcoming season, before a player option and then unrestricted free agency in his year 35 season. So you still have him for a long time. You'd still have Bradley Beal in this scenario as well. You'd have to cut Vasilij Micic and Cody Martin to get this to work. I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm saying if this was put on Matt Ishbia's desk, and honest to God, I think I could see him taking it.
I'm not mad at it. You can do a whole lot worse than getting Joel Embiid and a first-round pick and including 3 futures. You can do a whole lot worse. I'm laughing at Mark R. talking about Lowry getting paid. That's hilarious. But, again, if you're tall and you can shoot the you-know-what out the ball, you're going to find long-term money to be made and multiple suitors to continue to facilitate that contract.
Putting my long-term bet in for Lauri Markkanen White Boy of the Year next year. Let's call it in, okay? So – you mentioned you get a talent like Joel Embiid. A lot of people could be happy. It's a risk. What if I told you there are 2 better individual assets than Joel Embiid that I have the Phoenix Suns being able to get?
I'm cautiously interested.
Cautiously interested.
KYP, know your person.
Mark says, can you be White Boy of the Year in Utah? Buddy, that's where the damn ceremony is. White Boy of the Year is given out in Salt Lake City in the middle of December every single year. Mark, I thought I saw you there last year, my guy. Okay. I've got trade package for Giannis and one for Cooper Flagg. And guess what? We're going to get to those right after our final break. Listen, you got to spend money. You got to make money. That is just the way that life is here. Why not have a checking account that has perks just for you? That's right. I'm talking about Mountain America Credit Union's My Style checking account that they're committed to helping with more than 1 million of their members at 100 branches throughout the West. But you ask yourself, Eric, what is My Style checking? Well, My Style checking gets you restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel events, and so much more just by using your checking account, which is something that pretty much everybody does every single day. Make My Style your lifestyle. Like the more than 1 million members of Mountain America Credit Union, visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by the NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost. Registration and activation terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Plus, you can eat your Frosty and check your checking account on your patio with All Pro Shade Concepts. By far and away, the best place to go if you're trying to extend your outdoor living space. We're talking about patio shades to a custom fit awning with hundreds of designs and colors to choose from that can match any home and satisfy your pesky HOA. Roll down patio shades, block out the sun, keep patios up to 20 degrees cooler, and even warmer in the winter as it traps the warm air in and keeps the cool air out, therefore extending your home's use in your outdoor spaces throughout the entire year in Phoenix. Plus, you can trust All Pro Shade Concepts #1 by ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024. A+, Better Business Bureau rating, and 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. Licensed, bonded, and insured in business for over 20 years in the Valley. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com right now to schedule your free estimate. Thanks again to Jimmy, Wow Factor, Sean, Buy Entertainment, Jess Frenzo, Arnav, Ronald, Joe, Jeffrey, Rat. What's up, Rat? Sheldon, Richard, and Richard, I always believe, tuning in from Puerto Rico. Thank you all so much for tapping in with us on a Trade Machine Tuesdays. These shows are always a lot of fun, always a lot of crazy. Before we continue on the crazy, I want to remind everybody we are having a Diamondbacks pool party on July 3rd. Hang out with Derek and the Diamondbacks crew at the Chase Field Pool. Diehards get a 20% off discounted tickets. Have a lot of fun with drinks and food included as well. GoPHNX.com/events to join. Plus, on GoPHNX.com, we have our updated mock draft tracker that we have going on at All City as well. But before we get back to our trades that we made, Mark, with a $2 super chat, has a trade of his own. I trust Mark, so I'm going to assume that this one works. It says, would you do Andrew Wiggins, Khalil Ware, and Duncan Robinson plus the 2029 pick for KD? No. It's not enough. Ware's great. I love Ware as a prospect. I really wanted Ware in last year's draft. Ware, Dunn, and Carter were 3 names that I was super high on in last year's draft to fit with the Suns. That's not enough value for KD.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. That's why many of the trades that I've constructed have been 3-teamers to help kind of bridge some of that gap. You're never going to fully get there more in most instances unless you're getting a star talent in return, but yeah, the Miami Heat don't have enough, and obviously the leverage is gone for the Suns if KD says, I'm only going to Miami.
Sure.
So.
If he says, I'm only going to Miami, I'm walking away with Khalil Ware. There's you can't take that away from me. Like, it's got to be Ware. Mark says, I think Booker, Allen, Dunn, Wiggins, Ware is a fun lineup. I agree. I don't think that in a vacuum, those players with Devin Booker on the Suns is a bad thing. I think you can get more value for Kevin Durant, but I like where your head is at.
For sure. I think they're small at the 4 in that roster construct. They have questions with that, but I'm not mad at that roster in theory. They just got to make sure they nail everything else absolutely.
I'm sorry. I just got a notification that said DLS Mavs responded to
on Twitter.
Yeah, saying that I said some of these are not as unrealistic as you think, and they commented, I think one of these might be unrealistic. DLLS Mavs. Tune in. That's the last trade coming up. Okay.
So when the trade happens, make sure the hotline is
Just remember where you heard it first, DLS Maps. Come cry on my shoulder as we get Cooper Flagg, baby. Okay. Walk with me, chat. All right. Crawl with me, chat. Now, a lot of people in the chat are saying, Erik, these are unrealistic. Kevin Durant's trade value is too low. Well, here's what I have to say. I'm going to make up little made-up scenarios in my head to justify crazy trades happening because it's June and my basketball team hasn't played basketball in almost 2 months. So deal with it. That being said, in this specific scenario, Giannis comes into play. And Giannis says, I want to go to Phoenix. I want to go to Phoenix. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I am putting my foot down. You are sending me to Phoenix, Milwaukee. In this scenario, it's the Suns, the Rockets, and the Bucks. Mm-hmm. The Suns get Giannis. The Rockets get Kevin Durant. And the Milwaukee Bucks receive quite a few draft picks, along with Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks. They get the 10th pick, 29th pick, and the 52nd pick in this year's draft, along with 5 other first-round picks, plus a first-round pick swap, plus a second-round pick. All in total, you're getting 9 first-round picks, a second-round pick, Jalen Green, and Dillon Brooks. In exchange for Giannis, the Rockets are giving up Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10 pick, and a couple other future first-round picks for Kevin Durant. Walk with me, Chad. Walk with me. Walk with me. Now, I will admit,
mm-hmm.
I was under the influence of a certain pure edible. But I would love, obviously, for this to happen. Trash Panda says we need Gerald back so badly.
Yeah. I don't know where to start with this one, honestly.
Guys, I know this is insane.
I'm not sure where to start with this one.
Jason in the chat says, Erik Ruby, insert Jordan meme. Stop it. Get some help. Luma says, Giannis spotted at Wild Horse Pass. Trade confirmed.
Nah, Giannis spotted at Philadelphia.
Mark says, I don't know, Erik. We already have a 30-point per game scorer in Beal. AJ says Giannis is not worth 9 first-round picks. We have the first person who says the Suns are overpaying for Giannis.
Is that so? Wait, question.
Okay, hit me.
Milwaukee already has a bevy of picks already in house, right?
I actually don't.
At least of value. While you check that part,
I'm
asking because if they get this haul in addition to what they already have, they are quickly entering the Oklahoma City realm of bringing in and kind of undoing what was already existing with their roster. And the last remaining piece that they will have of a high contractual value would obviously be Damian Lillard.
So currently, the Milwaukee Bucks have their own first-round pick next year.
Okay.
The Pelicans pick in 2026 and 27, their own pick in 28 and 30, and then Portland's first-round pick in 2030. So they have a decent amount. First-round picks, 2 in 2026, 1 in 2027, 1 in 2028, 2 in 2030, and 1 in 2031. They have a decent amount of first-round picks. They have the second-round pick, 47 in this year's draft, and then 2 future seconds in 2026 and 2031. So they have some.
Instantly poised to get back into the contention realm based off of the picks and the young talent that they will be bringing in addition to what's already in place right now. Yeah.
How did they get the Pelicans picks?
Drew Holiday trade. Well, no, not the Drew Holiday trade.
Because Drew came from... From Portland.
No, Drew.
No, he went to Portland to Boston.
Yeah,
no,
So it was that trade.
Yeah, Drew came from the Pelicans. But did the Pelicans trade picks with Drew, or was it swaps? I don't know. I'm just telling you. This is what Spot Track says. So let me go to a different trade machine just to check because I want to make sure that this is
pick wise.
Yeah, I don't have Milwaukee giving up any picks in this, so it wouldn't really change anything from that perspective. But let me look at their picks. They have 2026 first-round pick. New Orleans holds the rights to swap.
Okay.
New Orleans has swap rights on those picks. So it's either their own pick or New Orleans. So
that makes sense then.
Yeah,
okay.
Patrick says Erik has it. No need for other trades. Clearly this will happen.
With the
with the thumbs up. By the way, if Giannis forces his way to Phoenix, I could actually see this being realistic, but that's it, because they would just get a bunch of picks and they would go full rebuild mode. They would take a shot on Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, who'd let the contract expire. The Rockets give up the Kevin Durant package for Kevin Durant. They're not giving up anything crazy. They're giving up the 2027 first round pick from Houston, and 2027 Brooklyn pick via Houston, and the 10th pick in this year's draft. So they're giving away 3 picks.
The fact that they keep Jabari and Tari.
Yeah. They keep Jabari, they keep Tari, they keep Reed Shepherd, they keep Şengün, they add KD, right? The Suns give up all of their draft capital and Kevin Durant, and they get Giannis. The Bucks give up Giannis, get 1 young player, and about 10 first round picks.
Yeah.
He'd have to force his way to Phoenix. There's no way, because in this situation, the Rockets would just give up whatever the Bucks wanted.
CJ, yes, you absolutely want Giannis if he comes calling.
Yes,
1,000%.
There is no question. Giannis,
he's one of only 4 players considered top 4 in the MVP race.
Yeah, he is one of the best players in the world, and I would trade everything for him.
He's the best player in the league after the Jokic and SGA tier this season.
And listen, I know that the Suns are in a bad place right now. I totally get it.
Yeah.
That being said, they have an owner who's willing to spend money. NBA players care about that. Giannis cares about an owner who wants to win now and wants to spend money to win now. Phoenix is a great destination. Here's a fun story. So a couple years ago, I do a little side gig. I do like voice stuff, right? And I was the voiceover person for Arizona State Law School's graduation. And I was sitting there, and this is in downtown Phoenix. And this is in the year that Milwaukee got bounced in the first round by Miami. So a couple seasons ago. And I'm sitting there, and who walks in through the door for ASU Law School's graduation other than Giannis Antetokounmpo, his lovely bride, and his family? They walk in through the door. I look up, and I double check. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, what are you doing here? And I went and I did some sleuthing and I did some checking, and Giannis had posted some pictures in the Valley, took his kids to the Phoenix Zoo. Now, obviously there's some sort of family relation or something as to why he was at the graduation, but Phoenix is a destination for people. It's got good weather during the NBA season, an owner who wants to spend, great facilities in Devin Booker. I'm not saying this is realistic at all, but it would not be out of the realm of possibility that a star says, I want to go to Phoenix.
Eric Ruby, the spokesperson for all trade candidates.
Yes. Also, another funny story from that. So this is when the Suns were playing the Nuggets.
Giannis Law School trade.
Giannis Law School trade. So this was when the Suns were playing the Nuggets, I believe, in the second round. And and Giannis is there, and the student speaker goes, I won't speak for too long. I know everybody wants to watch the Suns play in the playoffs. And Giannis in the back goes, boo! And everybody turns around and they're looking at Giannis. And Giannis' wife is like, shut up. So that's a fun little story, little Eric lore for everybody. Okay. I have one more trade that I put together this morning. So this is a sober trade.
Let's go OT first.
Yeah. But before we get to that trade, I want to remind everybody who's watching on television that the party always continues over at gophnx.com. And that means it's overtime, baby.
Lord knows you weren't getting through explaining this trade before the buzzer.
Sean, to answer your question in chat, no, I was not. No. Okay. Basketball gods, smile upon me with favor, because this is insane. Jess says, before you show it, I can already say the Mavs say no. If you're a Mavs fan, close your eyes. This trade is if the Suns get under the second apron.
No, this trade is if Nico Harrison gets back in his bag again.
Hey, he traded Luka. Anything is possible.
Okay, KG.
Bring the great white hope to Phoenix. Cooper Flagg, White Boy of the Year nominee. You are a Phoenix Sun, along with Jalen Green, Jaden Hardy, Max Christie, and Caleb Martin. It's a youth movement in Phoenix, baby. Well, how about the Rockets? What do the Rockets get? Rockets get Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, my sweet boy, Ryan Dunn, the 29th pick in this year's draft, the 52nd pick in this year's draft, 4 first-round picks, and a first-round pick swap. Okay? In exchange, the Mavs receive Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., and the number 10 pick in this year's draft. So, how are we feeling?
Huh?
How are we feeling?
No.
Now, I'm looking back at this, and I feel like, Dallas needs maybe a little bit more. I can't give Ryan Dunn to the Mavs because Ryan Dunn is being accepted via the NTMLE, which is the mid-level exemption trade clause that the Rockets specifically have. So he has to go to the Rockets. Now, from the Rockets side of things, you're getting a lot of pretty poor first-round picks. The 2025 Cleveland first-round pick via Phoenix. That's the 29th pick in this year's draft. 2026 Dallas first-round pick swap. 2027 Cleveland first-round pick via Phoenix. 2028 OKC first-round pick. 2029 Cleveland first-round pick via Phoenix. 2030 Phoenix first-round pick. And 2025 Phoenix second-round pick. You're also getting Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, and Ryan Dunn. Right, so you're getting a little wing defense there and some offensive capabilities. Getting a lot if you're the Rockets, and you're not giving up a ton. The Mavs, you're giving up the number 10 pick. The Mavs are getting Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr. in the 10th pick in this year's draft. They're giving up the number 1 pick, Jaden Hardy, Max Christie, and Caleb Martin.
Yeah, there's a whole so much going on. I like the idea of Houston getting such a haul in this.
They probably walk away maybe the biggest winners. They're getting a lot of picks for not giving up a ton.
The Suns walk away the biggest winner because they get Cooper Flagg. But in terms of setting going forward, I hear what you're getting at for sure. But bruh.
Ooh, Jason says, as a Rockets fan, I'm actually good with this. We make this work with Şengün and Amen, etc.
You give Ryan Dunn someone to defend with Amen. And you still got Tari Eason still there?
Tari Eason's still there.
Jesus. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. You just can't get 4 first round picks.
So it's the Mavericks. It's the Mavericks. The Mavericks that hold this up. But you get Kevin Durant and Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah.
And you get the 10th pick this year's draft to go from 1 to 10, and then you give up Jaden Hardy and Max Christie and Caleb Martin.
Yeah.
Well, and you're giving up Klay Thompson, Dan Gafford, and PJ Washington.
Yeah,
as well.
Exactly.
It is a lot. It's a lot for the Mavs. It's a lot for the Mavs. I'll be honest.
My brain combusted when I saw this one.
So how about this? What if we reroute some picks? What if we send the 29th pick in this year's draft to the Mavericks, Phoenix's 2030 first-round pick to the Mavericks, and Cleveland's 2029 first-round pick via Phoenix? So they walk away with 3 first-round picks. Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr. 4 first-round picks, including number 10. Kevin Durant and Jabari Smith Jr. for number 1 and the rest of the roster.
I mean, it all comes down to if Nico is going to do it again. If he's going to do it again, then, no holds barred at that point. You get what you get, you don't throw a fit. You get the number 1 pick. This is true.
Nico is a psychopath.
And at this point, he would be considered a psychopath and a troll in real life.
Man. Okay. Chat is not happy with me.
Did you expect him to be?
Listen. Cooper Flagg, Giannis, Joel Embiid. We went through trades for them all. Also trades with Jaylen Brown, Lauri Markkanen, Jared Allen, Domantas Sabonis. Doesn't that feel like 5 years ago? We were talking about Domantas Sabonis and Jared Allen. There is a lot on the table for the Suns. Out of all the trades that we put together today, Stephen, what would you say is your favorite and why?
I would go with the Suns being able to get Tripp, Jaren Jackson Jr.
You love any trade that gets him Tripp.
Yes, because you get an instant defensive player of the year candidate. You get someone that has all of the versatility that you would love for any of your front court pieces to have on the offensive side of the court. And you also get someone that matches the age timeline of Devin Booker. And I think that versatility and being able to check off all of those boxes that I just got done speaking to without diving too much into the details, that gives you everything that you're asking for. He has the exact type of shot profile that you're going to want from any of your front court pieces, whether that be from the midi, from the free throw line below, being able to operate independent of Devin Booker, but also play in tandem with him in primary actions. He can space off of Devin Booker and play in all of the floor spacing ways that you might want him to, play the 4 or the 5. Existing gaps and command a lineup that does not have Devin Booker involved. There's just so much that comes with that. That's the one that I would air with. And they also get one of their picks back, the 2027 first.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all, especially getting the 2027 first round pick back. I think Houston's giving up a lot in that one. I will say the first two trades we talked about, as far as like realistic trade options and ones that make the Suns better, really
the Jared Allen and Sabonis ones.
Jared Allen and Sabonis one, right? So just to recap for everybody, first one is Suns get Sabonis, Devin Carter, first round pick from the Knicks for 3 years after that, and 2025 Sacramento second rounder and the 42nd pick. Kings get Cat Pacome Dadier and 2025 Knicks second round pick. Knicks get Kevin Durant. Okay, the other trade. I'm not going to read off everything because it's a lot, but the Suns walk away with Jared Allen, Mikal Bridges, Jonathan Isaac, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Tyler Kolek, 2026 first-round pick, and the number 16 pick in this year's draft. I like being able to move up to 16. I like Jared Allen and Mikal Bridges and Jonathan Isaac alongside Devin Booker, KCP, and Tyler Kolek off the bench. I think those flush out a lot of different options for the Suns. But
and I don't think the Knicks or the Magic are getting shortchanged.
No, I think those are relatively fair. I think Cleveland is the holdup in that second trade. However, I think my favorite trade is getting Lauri Markkanen, the 21st pick in this year's draft, a 2028 first-round pick from Philly via the Clippers, and a 2029 first-round pick via Philly, and a 2031 first-round pick via Philly for Kevin Durant is my favorite trade. That one, you get draft capital, you get a star under contract that fits alongside Booker, at least offensively, and you move up because you're trading your 29 pick out. You're moving up 8 spots in this year's draft, which could be the difference between some of the prospects that we talked about loving and getting stuck with somebody maybe reaching for a second rounder. Yes, I get it. We're delusional. Boxer Boy 602. But I said they were crazy, and it is June, and my basketball team hasn't played basketball in months, so leave me alone. Okay? This is the way that it is. But only Trade Machine Tuesdays happen once a week. Tomorrow, we're talking about draft prospects, specifically draft prospects if the Suns trade up into the lottery, get the 10th pick, get the number 1 pick, whoever it might be in between. We're going to be talking about lottery prospects the Suns could snag in the 2025 NBA draft. Make sure you tune in for that one. Also, while you're here right now, hit that like button again. Not nearly enough likes on this video for how many of you are chilling in here with us on a Tuesday. Make sure you are subscribed as well. As a reminder, Stephen and I did record about 10 minutes on how the Tom Thibodeau firing affects the Phoenix Suns coaching search with Johnnie Bryant. That's going to hit your audio and your video feeds. Before we get out of here, let's get to a couple of super chats. We read Mark's earlier. Thank you, Mark. Let's go to Rob's. Rob with $5 says, got to give you guys props. The hopeful delusions are running rampant in Suns fandom right now.
Some of it might be delusion. Some of it might also be having to match contracts, which I continue to pound the desk on because you can't make trades with all of the aprons involved. No aprons are involved to cook, but you can't cook with having so many aprons involved with most of the teams that Durant would actually potentially want to go to.
Yeah, it's really hard to make big trades with big money with second apron rules. I highly encourage all of you to go try.
Absolutely.
Go try.
I implore for it, honestly.
Like we think Leo did. Leo, I'm going to assume this works because I trust you. Leo, $9.99 super chat from Leo, Mr. Big Bucks over there says,
Appreciate
how about my
you.
trade? He says, Spurs get KD, Suns get the 14th pick, Pelicans second round pick, Trey Murphy and Jose Alvarado. Pelicans get Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, and Jeremy Sohan. Love the Suns getting Trey Murphy. Love the Suns getting the 14th pick in this year's draft. I don't think the Pelicans do that unless they get some draft compensation for taking on Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, and Sohan. None of those guys are remotely close to Trey Murphy.
That's the thing. They would need to be insulated with a whole lot more pick compensation for dancing with these two teams to get that trade done.
I like Trey Murphy though.
Yeah,
I like
the fact that New Orleans said no one's off the table.
I think that's crazy. I think Trey.
I thought at least the one person
is Trey. Trey, watch out, white boy of the year. Thanks to Russell, Nathan, Wow Factor, Jason.
Wait, Leo, you needed to include CJ coming to Phoenix so you can hop on the pod with Erik and
Listen, I will. Bring it, CJ. Knock the second apron right out of you.
I'm glad this is on overtime. Anyway.
You can follow the show left, right. At PHNX _Suns. Of course, you could follow Stephen. Don't call him Steve at StephenPG3. You can follow new producer extraordinaire doing a great job behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Fellow Suns faithful Ayrton. You can follow him on socials at Freckled Mamba, still the best nickname in the game. And you can follow me at ERIK RUBY. We'll be back tomorrow for draft prospect breakdowns. Later this week, we've got tiers, free agent Friday, plus a coaching hire seems imminent. PHNX Suns will be here with a breaking news podcast as soon as the news drops. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right here on PHNX Sports. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll talk to you later this week. And maybe I'll come up with another Giannis trade just to make you mad.
We all silly like the mayor.